So very important words that are used to describe operations. First of all, let's agree that there are two things. There are variables and there are operations. And of course, there are numbers. So by variables, we mean every letter possible. If we started to use X, Y, Z, N, F, any of those letters, that's for us a variable, including مثلا 3x, because they're multiplied by each other. This whole thing is a variable. It keeps changing its value. While the operations would go for the addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, square root, for example. These are what we call operations. We need to be able to do all the operations possible on whether variables or numbers. And we need to learn the words that symbolize each of those operations. So for example, if we just start with the addition, if I want terms or words that represent addition, if I say, for example, 3 more than a number, or if I say a number increased by 3, or if I say the sum of 3 and a number. All these three mean the same thing. They mean x plus 3. With their literal translation, when I say 3 more than a number, يبقى النمبر الأول and then I added عليه 3. A number increased by 3 يبقى برضه a number, which I don't know. والحاجة اللي ما أعرفهاش دايما I use letters to represent it. And I increase by that 3. I increase on that 3. The sum, the word sum is a keyword. It means the sum of x plus 3, just x plus 3. There are other words that are used for the subtraction though. So I can use things like a number decreased by 2. So a number decreased by 2 is just x and then minus 2. It can't be 2 minus x. لأن النمبر هو اللي was decreased by 2, not the 2 decreased by a number. So you start with the x first, then minus the 2. Or if I say 2 less than x. So if I say 2 less than x, what does that mean? It still means the same thing. X goes first and then minus 2. 2 less than x, this is a very common mistake when I say 2 less than x, x goes first and then minus 2. Or I can say the difference between, so the difference means minus as well, between a number and 2. Well, it would still be x minus 2. So again, there are more than one terms that represent a difference here. If I say decreased by or less than or the difference, this is minus. When I say more than or increased by or the sum, that's the plus. Any questions about these two?
عندي بس سؤال بس صغير.
Of course.
هو بتفرق x minus 2 أو 2 minus x؟
أيوه، هو ده بالظبط اللي أنا كنت بفوكس عليه، هو ده اللي كنت عايز إيه هايلايت ليكي. إنه يس هتفرق كتير، لأن 2 minus 3 is not the same as 3 minus 2. 2 minus 3 is negative 1 while 3 minus 2 is positive 1. ده رقم وده رقم تاني خالص. So في السبتراكشن بالذات الترتيب هيفرق. عشان كده بقول لا، فكري فيها. It means a number decreased by 2. مين اللي اتعمل له ماينس؟ مين اللي اتشال منه؟ النمبر ولا ال2 هو اللي اتشالت منها؟ النمبر هو اللي شلنا منه 2. So النمبر الأول x and then minus 2. إنما لما أقول 2 less than x يعني الأكس هي اللي قلت برضو. So x الأول minus 2. Does this make sense?
Yes.
Are you sure؟
ماشي.
Okay,
thank you.
على إيه؟ Yes, قرر ده بالغلط. طيب لو بتكلم على التايمز بقى، ايه الوردز او الكيوردز اللي بتريبريزنت تايمز؟ لما اقول product، so the product of a number and 3 يبقى x times 3 يعني 3x. so the product of 3 and x يعني 3x. او لما اقول مثلا triple x، so triple x يعني برضو 3 times x. او لما اقول twice n so 2n. او لما اقول مثلا double f so 2f. third a number تبقى x times 1 over 3. so الثird والfourth والfifth of a number that's 1 over 5 1 over 4 1 over 3. بس لو قلت 3 times a number ده 3 عادي. او قلت triple a number ده 3 times a number. لو قلت twice a number ده 2 times a number. لو قلت double a number 2 times برضو a number. Does this make sense for the multiplication ولا في أي مشاكل فيهم برضو؟ We then move to the division where the word quotient is extremely important. So quotient يعني division. So if I say the quotient of x and y, it means x divided by y. I can also say the quotient of x and twice the product of a and b. تعالوا بقى نترجم دي. This is very important. هي دي الحاجات المهمة. When they say twice, oh sorry, the quotient of x and twice the product of a and b. So how do I get that? I'll start with the parts I know. The quotient of x, so it's x divided by something. Divided by what? The twice of something, so 2 times. Twice what? Twice the product of a and b, which means a times b. So this is it. This is the quotient of x and twice the product of a and b. Does this make sense ولا في أي حاجة؟ طيب. Now في بقى حاجة في التايمز برضو مهمة قوي، أو another important كده زي words that are used that represent time. لما أقول مثلا إن there are X dollars every hour for T hours. When I say again, there are X dollars every hour for 10 hours. What does that mean? This also means because the X is repeated every hour, then the X is multiplied by the number of hours. So if I say that there's X dollars every T hours for T hours, this is T times X. T times X will give me the total dollars in T hours. Does this make sense ولا لا? So again, when I say مثلا 5 every day, and then I'll tell you the days are represented by X, يعني 5X. Or if I say مثلا F أو 3 every F hours, so it's 3 times F. This is the total available after the hours. Does this make sense? Yes يا حبيبي.
مستر هو هنا برضو هتفرق ولا لا؟
X times T ولا T times X؟ في التايمز وفي البلس مش هتفرق، هتفرق في الديفايدد وفي الماينس بس. اللي على اليمين دول هتفرق فيهم قوي الترتيب، اللي في الشمال مش هتفرق. بس خليكي متعوده انك تيوز نفس الترتيب لانه هو المفروض يكون منطقي. عشان كده مثلا بنقول 3 more than a number تبقى x plus 3، هي زيها زي 2 less than a number يبقى النمبر minus 2. النمبر ببتدي بيه الاول لانه اللي في الحالتين منطقي ان انا ابتدي بالنمبر الاول. فاهم حاجه؟ ماشي.
Okay, thank you.
Most welcome. تعالى أوريكم شوية questions. How do they look like? Applying ده نفسه ونشوف هنديل with it إزاي. For example, here's the first one. It says here twice the product of m and n decreased by the square of the sum of m and n. So it's impossible for you to be able to solve this question in one shot, one time كده خلاص. I recommend that you read it part by part and work on each part separately to try and translate the words. So let's start with the twice. Twice what? Twice something. So 2 times something. Because of the word twice, I said it's 2 multiplied by something. Twice what? It's twice the product of m and n. So the product of m and n means m times n, mn. So twice the product يعني 2mn. Decreased by something يعني minus. The square يعني حاجة squared يعني حاجة power 2. The square of what? The square of the sum of m and n. So what does it mean, the sum of m and n? It means m plus n. They need the square of m plus n. So I'll put in a bracket m plus n squared because the whole sum is squared. Not just the n, not just the m, the whole sum is squared. So when you look at the choices, it's choice B definitely. Does this make sense?
Yes.
Awesome. طيب let's move to number 2 مثلا. هنا بيقول لي the product of a number x and 4 decreased by 12. You see, I read it part by part. When they say the product of حاجة لازم يكونوا حاجتين. فعشان كده بيقول لي product of a number x and حاجة. ده لازم ادور ايه الحاجة التانية دي. So لما يقول لي the product of a number x and ادور ايه and mean and 4. So what does that mean, the product of x and 4? يعني 4 times x. Now decreased by يعني minus 12. So that's it. 4x minus 12. It's D right away. How is this? Easy so far?
No, it's easy. على فكرة أنا جبتهم كده يعني
بالدماغ. The quotient of 19 and a number D is increased by 7. So the quotient means division of 19 and a number D is increased by يعني plus 7, and that's it. 19 over D plus 7, it's A. You see في الquotient بنبتدي بدل الأولاني over التاني. Now number 4 بيقول لي Mario received Y text messages each minute for 10 minutes. I'll stop here. قبل ما اقرا الباقي لما يقول لي Y text messages for 10 minutes يعني 10 Y times بعد زي ما قلنا. Because it's happening each minute. يبقى ال Y تتعمل times the number of minutes. And received T text messages each minute for 20 minutes. So another thing, each minute for 20 minutes. So it's 20 times T. Now, what is the total number of text messages he received for 2 days? So هعمل ده plus ده بس خلاص. That's it. That's the answer. D. Moving on, the number 5. Which of the following expressions represents the product of 3k? The product of 3k يعني 3k times حاجة times a the sum of m and 1/3 of n. You see how I kept translating every single word. The product, so 3k multiplied by what? The sum of m and something, so m plus something. What is that thing? 1/3 of n, so 1 over 3n. So that's how I got k to be the correct, sorry, c to be the correct answer. Are we good? Check how this will get a tiny bit harder. The difference between two numbers, generally two numbers, is 8. I'll stop here. So apparently I have two numbers, and the difference between them is يعني equals 8. So by the way, is means equal. If the smaller number, which do you think is the smaller one? Is it the one on the left or the one on the right? لو رقمين minus بعض ب 8, which do you think is the smaller? The one on the left or one on the right? اللي قبل الماينس ولا اللي بعد الماينس؟
اللي بعد الماينس.
اللي بعد الماينس, exactly. So the smaller number is n to the third power, يعني to the power of 3. What is the greater number? يعني عايز يعرف البوكس ده بكام؟ يبقى هودي ده كده كله الناحية التانية بعكس الساين. So البوكس ده now will be equals to 8 plus n to the power of 3, which is b. Are we good? طيب تاني, أنا عندي رقمين plus بعض أو sorry minus بعض, difference ما بينهم 8. So أدي رقم minus رقم, الديفرنس ما بينهم طلع 8. الرقم الصغير اللي فيهم is n power 3. شو شلت البي خالص وحطيت مكانها n power 3. عايز أعرف what is the greater number اللي هو المين؟ A, صح؟ كرة؟ So هودي النيجاتيف n power 3 الناحية التانية. فيبقى عندي A هتبقى equals 8 and then plus n power 3. يعني الرقم الكبير ده equals n power 3 plus 8. فاهمها ولا ايه؟
اوكي.
شور؟ ماشي. Most welcome. طيب, if you don't mind, head to Google Classroom please, and you should find chapter 1 practice test. These are all questions based on the understanding of the translations of words along with the operations, the algebraic operations عامة. There's just one question that we've discussed before, which is number 4. I hope you can do this right away. I don't need to remind you, hopefully. Yeah. This has a total of 11 questions, so 12 questions. For all 12, I'll give you 12 minutes. You shouldn't need the whole 12 minutes coming. So again, it's the one called Chapter Test 1, starting now. You guys will understand everything. So literal translation, 2 less than the quotient. So something minus 2. 2 less than the quotient of what? Of 3 and a number n. I told you before we start with the 3 first. So 2 less than the quotient of 3 and the number n. So 3 over n minus 2. When you check the choices, it's C. Right away. Again, to the point, no problems there. If you check number 2, how much greater is this than that? So if I want to know how much is or how older I am more than you are, or how older I am than you are, so I'll do my age minus your age. If I want to know how much is something greater than the other one, I'll subtract them from each other. So how much is greater than this is this? Which one is the bigger one? It's definitely the n plus 3. That's the bigger one. I'll need now to subtract it from, in a bracket, n minus 11. So subtracted by n minus 11. Now this negative sign must be distributed. So I'll have n plus 3 minus n and plus 11. N and minus n will cross each other, and then 3 and 11 added will be 14. So how much is this greater than that? It's greater by 14. Another way to look at it is that n minus 11, from n minus 11 up until n plus 3, you move from n minus 11 to n by adding 11. And then from n to n plus 3, you'll add another 3. So a total of 14 difference between them. This is another way of thinking about it. are both ways clear to you all ولا في أي مشاكل؟ Okay. Awesome. Number 3 بيقول لي Johnny received M text messages on Friday, 3 less than twice as many text messages on Saturday. So apparently there are different days. There's Friday and there's Saturday. On Friday he received M, while on Saturday he received 3 less than twice as many. So حاجة minus 3, that's what means 3 less. Twice as many يعني 2 times ال M. That's what he received on Saturday. Now 5 more text messages on Sunday than on Saturday. So on Sunday he added على اللي already he got on Saturday, he added عليهم another 5 more text messages. What is the total number of text messages that he received over the 3 days? I just need to add all of those together. So I have here like terms M and 2M and 2M as well, that's 5M. I have negative 3 and negative 3, that's negative 6, and plus 5, that's negative 1. So 5M minus 1 is the total number of text messages that they sent on the 3 days. Again, does this make sense? What number is halfway between this and that? And we took this earlier. We took the word halfway means it's exactly in the middle, means we're talking about the midpoint. And we said to get the midpoint between any two things, you just need to add these two things and then divide them by 2. That's how I get the midpoint between any two things. So I just need on a calculator to do negative 5 over 6 plus 1 over 3. And then whatever comes out, I'll divide that by 2. Did any of you already do that?
Yes, it's a negative 1 over 4.
Awesome. Now to number 5. What is this rounded to the nearest hundredth? So the hundredth is this second number after the decimal point. That's what we call hundredth. You check the number after it, and because it's bigger than 5, then the 9 will be, what's it called? Increased, which means it should become 10, which means it will increase the 4 as well by 5. So the answer in this case is D. Again ال8 هتكبر ال9 تبقى 10 وال10 اللي هتبقى هنا دي هتكبر ال4 تبقى 5. So it ends up to become 4.450. Any problems there? Number 6. This is a simplification process. The 3a for the time being will remain, but I'll distribute أي حاجة بره البراكتس. So half times b will become half b, and then half times negative 2c is just negative c. Now negative half times 2 is negative a, and then negative half times 3 is negative 3 over 2b. Like terms together, I have 3a and minus a, that's 2a. I have half and minus 3 over 2, that's negative b. And then I have the negative c goes at the end as it is with no like terms. So 2a minus b minus c, which means c is the correct answer. Any problems there? How many minutes are there in 2 hours and 6 minutes? So I'll need, if I'm talking about minutes, this one is already in minutes. I will not change it. I'll keep it as it is for the time being. But instead of this 2h in hours, I need to transfer that to minutes. In order to transfer from hours or to change from hours to minutes, I need to multiply by 60. So this hours should be multiplied by 60, which will become 120h plus 6m, which then gives me B as the correct answer. Yes.
بس الرجوع 60 هتبقى 60.
ما هي 2h وهي نفسها ده الhours دلوقتي صح؟ هعملها كلها كده times 60 لأن أنا لو كان عندي 4 hours كنت هعمل 4 times 60 هما 2h hours فهعملها برضو times 60 فال 60 وال 2 يتعملوا times بعض تبقى 120 وال h جنبهم بالتايمز برضو. فاهمة كارلا؟
اوكي.
بس.
ماشي thank you.
You're most welcome. Number 8 بيقول لي add 5 to a number n, so n I'll add to that 5, divide by 8, so I'll divide this whole thing by 8, subtract by 1, so I'll subtract 1, multiply by 8, so this whole thing will be multiplied by 8. When the sequence of operation below has been completed, which of the following is an expression for the statement above? That's what you need to do. So this 8, when it's distributed, 8 times this fraction, we said earlier that the 8, whenever I have a number multiplied by a fraction, it's multiplied by the numerator. يعني ال 8 هتتعمل times n plus 5 وبعد كده still over 8 عادي اللي تحت minus 8 times 1 which is just 8. This 8 and this 8 will cross each other. I'll remain with n plus 5 minus 8. 5 minus 8 will become negative 3. So n minus 3 is the correct answer. C. This is an important one. Is this okay? Okay. Number 9. I have brackets and so on, and whenever I have a bracket and a number before the bracket, we'll distribute it as we did earlier. So I'll have the 2y minus x as they are, but then the reason why I distributed is to remove the brackets. So there's no need to write the brackets anymore. Negative 2 times y will become negative 2y, and negative 2 times negative 2z is positive 4z. Then negative 4 times x is negative 4x, and then negative 4 times z is negative 4z. Like terms together, I have 2y and negative 2y, they'll cross each other. I have positive 4z and negative 4z, they'll cross each other. I then have the negative x with the negative 4x, and that's negative 5x. So the answer for this one is B. Any issues there? If you check number 10, if x is equals to 10, then what is the value of this? It's one of the easy ones. So just on a calculator, start substituting n with with 10 and add all of those together, and it should give you your answer right away. Or if this is without a calculator for any reason, just remember that I need to make the bases all equal to each other. Which means I need to multiply this by 100 up and down, and I need to multiply this by a 10 up and down, so that they're all 200 في الدينومينيتور. دلوقتي بقى الدينومينيتور كله 200. I'll add فوق 10 times 100, that's 1000. 10 times 10, that's 100, and 10 as it is. So it's a total of 1110 over 200. You can then remove this 0 with this one, so you'll have 111 over 20. Does this make sense? Yes, يا حبيبي.
I did something different, basically, completely. The way I understood it is that now we're just gonna take x and then replace it by 10, and that's it.
Yes. So if it's with the calculator, it got you this answer right away, صح?
Yeah.
So that's what I said at the beginning. If you're allowed your calculator, just put 10. So it's going to be 10 over 2 plus 10 over 20, 10 over 200. If you're not allowed the calculator, then you have to actually simplify this. And in order to do so, you just have to make the denominators equal to each other.
Okay.
Sure? Most welcome. Number 11, بيقول لي x plus and y are positive integers and 2x plus 5y is equals to 18. What's the value of x? So لما بيكون عندي equation فيها two variables زي x and y, I cannot really find the value of x or the value of y unless I'm given two equations. So two variables, two equations. One variable, one equation is enough. Three variables, three equations, and so on. But because you're here only given one equation, then you have to think outside of the box. So he's asking what's the value of x, and they told you that x and y are both positive integers. Yani they can't be decimals because they're integers, and they can't be negative numbers. So you can pick anything, like you decide what are the, give example of two numbers added to each other that would give me 18. So I would say, for example, something that goes like 8 plus 10, for example, that's 18. If that's the case, then the 2x is equals to 8. And the 5y is equals to 10. Which means here that x is equals to 8 divided by 2, which is 4. Or y is equals to 10 divided by 5, which is 2. This is true, this is correct, and there's no mistake here. It's done. Anyone has any issues in this one? Yes, يا حبيبي.
بس هو أنا عملتها بنفس الطريقة دي بالظبط، بس أنا افتكرتها إن هي حاجة راندوم قوي.
يعني لا ما هي لا انت فاهم تقصدي ايه؟ هي مش راندوم قوي زي ما انت متخيله، لانك مفيش ارقام كتير انتجرز هتدي لك 18 بالمنظر ده. يعني مثلا لو حطيتي الواي باي رقم تاني غير 2 ب 3 مثلا، then هيطلع لي 5 times 3 يعني 15. 15 بلس كام يديني 18؟ 15 بلس 3. so مفيش 2 times حاجه يديني 3، so هتطلع مش انتجر. so اللي اقصده انه على قد ما انت متهيأ لك ان this is random، على قد ما هي it's not. you can't really get out of those numbers. مش هتعرف تجيبي حاجات كتير قوي مختلفة. one more thing، الجريد in questions اللي هم questions دي اللي هي من غير choices، دول كان بيبقى فيهم ساعات more than one answer صح، يعني more than one answer تنفع. ف it's okay ان يطلع اسئله بالمنظر ده بالنسبه لنا. we don't have a problem. okay
Mr. Thank you.
most welcome يا عمر. If you check 12 آخر واحدة عندي A equals to 3B negative 1 و C بكذا، just substitute. So on a calculator I'll just put instead of the A 3 and instead of the B negative 1 and instead of the C negative 2 and put this on a calculator. It will give you the answer. طبعا if you're not allowed the calculator, it's easy to be calculated as well, because that's negative 4 divided by 3 over negative 2 plus 3, which is negative 1. So that's 7 minus negative 4 over 3 over negative 1. This goes down. 7 minus 4 over 3. So over 3 over 3. 21 minus 4 over 3. So it's 17 over 3. Does that make sense, Shoya, or did I speed it up away?
I kind of got lost, so I can't repeat it, please.
طبعا. You got lost. I think I know where it happened. يعني بس you, I think until here that's okay, صح? 3 minus 12.
I did that right.
Okay. Now let's change this negative 4 divided by 3 to a fraction. And then whenever we have a fraction in a fraction, this denominator of the numerator goes down here, multiplied. So it becomes 7 minus 4, or negative 4, over negative 1 times 3, which is negative 3. Does this make sense, Yara?
Yeah, okay.
and then 7 minus this negative and this negative will cross each other, so it became 7 minus 4 over 3. Now I need them to have the same denominator, so I'll add a 3 here and I'll multiply by 3 up and down.
Yeah.
Now 3 times 7, that's 21 over 3 minus 4 over 3. 21 minus 4 is just 17 over 3. And that's it.
Okay, yeah, comes out. Thank
Perfect.
you.
Most welcome, Yom. So everything that we discussed, I think, so far here was easy. The ideas are simple. They're there. Yani they can get you marks. They can get you lots of points. Those. Okay. What are we going to do after this one? We're going to work on what we call inverse proportionality or inverse relationship. So there's something called direct proportions or direct proportionality and inverse proportionality. Okay. And what we mean by direct, if two terms are directly proportional to each other, it means if one of them is increasing, the other one is increasing as well. But if we're talking about inverse proportionality, then we're talking if one of them increases, the other one decreases. They go opposite ways of each other. And there are lots of things that actually follow the inverse proportional idea in real life. So for example, if you have a group of people who are doing a specific job, let's say painting a room, and you have two people who would paint a room in 2 hours. If you increased the number of people, the number of hours needed should be decreased. Yani if instead of their 2, I made them 4 people, then they would do this in half an hour instead of 1 hour. So what's happening here is that as we increase the number of workers, the number of hours needed decreases. These two things are now inversely proportional. The number of hours is inversely proportional to the number of workers. Does this make sense? Not so much? Kind of? So again, the idea is that let's say if we have two letters, if one of them increases and the other one goes the other way around, decreases, these are inversely proportional terms. So if I say مثلا X is the number of workers doing a specific job, and Y is the time needed to finish the job, so the more people I increase, the lesser time I need to finish the whole thing. Now, how do we represent this with math and so on? And whenever we see the word inverse or inversely proportional, what do we do? So the inversely proportional follow a specific form, and that form is that y is equals to k over x, where k is a constant. It's a number that never changes. We call it constant of proportionality. So what's the constant of proportionality? It's a number. So let's say, for example, if I already know that y and x are inversely proportional, then this means right away that you can represent y and x using this form here. You can say y must be equals to حاجة, something divided by x. What happens in questions and in examples goes like this. They would give you an x value that's equals to 2, and let's say y that's equals to 8, and then they would go and tell you these are inversely proportional. And then they tell you what would be the y value if x is equals to 4. Then what should be the y value? So بدل ما الاكس كانت هتبقى ب 2 دلوقتي الاكس هتبقى ب 4. تعرف تقول الواي فاليو المفروض تبقى بكام؟ That's what they need you to do. So how do we do that? We use this form that we said earlier. Like usually we said that since they're inversely proportional المفروض اكتبهم in this form. Y equals ks, k over x. Your target is to find the value of k. Find k. How can I find k? You are already given an x and y that are equal to each other. So instead of y, put 8. Instead of k, just leave it k, but instead of the x, put the 2, because the 8 and the 2 are for each other. In order to find k, I'll just need to move the 2 to the other side. So k will be equals to 16. Now I have the value of k, which means I have the form or the equation. Now I can say that the equation is y equals k, which is 16 over x. If they want to know the y value لما كانت x before هحط هنا الاكس before. عايز يعرف الاكس لما كانت الواي ب 10 هحط الواي ب 10. شوف الاكس بكام. So because here they want x to be equals to 4, I'll say that now y is equals to 16 divided by 4, which means that y is equals 4 as well. So if x is equals to 2 or y is equals to 2 when x is equal, sorry, if y is equals to 8 when x is equals to 2, then y will be equals to 4 when x is equals to 4 as well, because they're inversely proportional. So again, just a quick recap. You should be always given an x and y givens, complete, known. You should always use the x and y to find the k first. How to find the k? By multiplying x and y. So in order to find k, you just need to do y times x. أول ما هتجيب الكي بكام اكتب الإيكويجن اللي هي زي اللي تحت هنا y equals 16 over x دي، وسبستيتيوت بقى اللي هو مديهولك التاني وهات اللي هو عايزه. Does this make sense? Yes or no? Yes. Carla, you're good. Ali, you're good يا حبيبي.
Okay, كويس.
طيب, let's check a question. If you go for P1 inverse proportional or inverse proportional عامة, you'll see the first question there is discussing exactly that theory. It says the cost of hiring a bus for a trip to Niagara Falls is 400. That's the whole bus. If 25 people go on the trip, what is the cost per... No, not this one, the one that I wanted to use, no. Yeah, it's one of the easy ones. I want to use another one. Yes. Check that. So here you're given table for x and y values. Instead of just being given x equals and y equals, you're given a table of values. And you're told already within the question, and this is the keyword, y varies inversely with x. معناها ايه y varies inversely? This means they're inversely proportional, which means they follow the form of y equals k over x. Which means here that k will be equals to any x times y. Type, what's the value of a plus b? In order to get a and b, I need first to get the k, as we said earlier. So just take an x and y, any x and y, let's say these two, and multiply them by each other to get the value of k. So 2 times 25, that's the value of k, which is 50. Now I have the k, which means I have the equation y equals 50 over x. If they want me to find a, I'll put x with 4. So y is equals to 50 over 4, which is 12.5. So then a is equals to 12.5. If they want me to find b, I'll substitute x with 8. So y is equals to 50 over 8, which will be 6.25. So then b is 6.25. They want me to find a plus b. So 12 plus 16, that's 18.75. C is the correct one. Does this make sense?
بس أنا اتلخبطت شوية.
اسأليني بقى. الو؟
أيوة مستر.
ايوه يا حبيبي. قولي لي، بقول لك يعني فهميني، قولي لي فهمتي ايه، عرفتي ايه اي حاجه، ابتدينا منين، ايه الايه، ايه البي، اي حاجه، قولي لي انت عرفتي ايه، اي حاجه.
أنا مش عارفة أصلا ال A وال B عرفناهم منين.
ماشي يا حبيبتي، قولي لي انت عرفتي ايه، سيبك من ما تعرفيش ايه. انت عرفتي ايه، قولي. ما احنا عرفنا الايه والبي اهم، بعد ما جبنا الايكويشن جبنا الايه والبي. نيفر مايند دي، قولي لي انت ايه اللي فاهماه. مش فاهماه حاجه خالص. طيب كارلا، these are x's and y's، دول اكيد فاهمه كده صح؟ انت مدياكي اكس وواي صح؟
دي فاهمة.
طيب تعرفي تجيبي الايكويشن، فهمتي حاجه من اللي انا شرحتها هنا بتاعت واي كي اكس، اي حاجه من دول؟
فهمت شوية.
ما هي دي المشكله بقى. طيب احنا هنا كنا بنقول ان انا عندي اكس وواي جيفن، ال2 وال8 اهي، جبت منهم حاجه اسمها الكي. ايه الكي دي؟ بجيبها ازاي؟ ان انا اعمل واي تايمز اكس، دي الكي. بعمل ايه تايمز ايه عشان اجيب الكي يا كارلا؟
Y times X.
طيب انا عندي الواي والاكس ولا لا؟ عملتهم تايمز بعض، جبت الكي بكام هنا؟
ال K هنا ب16.
اول ما جبت الكي ب16 كتبت الايكويشن. الايكويشن دي اللي هي شكلها ايه؟ شكلها y equals k over x، ده شكل الايكويشن. اوكي، انا جبت الكي بكام، فهحط الكي بالرقم اللي انا جبته اللي هو 16 اهو. ماشي. هو عايز بعد كده بقى الواي بكام لما كانت الاكس ب4، فانا هحط الاكس ب4 بس، جيب الواي صح؟ شور كارلا؟
يس.
are you sure؟
أيوة هحط ال4 عشان لما أشوف الواي كانت بكام لما الإكس كانت ب4.
كويس، let's do exactly the same thing. ها قولي لي انت.
اوكي. لازم أجيب ال K equals X times Y أو Y times X.
اللي هم هنا ايه وايه؟
اللي هنا هما 2.25.
اي اكس وواي منهم اللي انت عايزاه، ماشي. 2 25 5 و10 اللي انت عايزاه. عايزه مين؟
5 و10 بس.
ماشي. 5 times 10 اللي هما بكام؟ 5 times 10
50.
تبقى الكي بكام؟
50.
اول ما اجيب الكي بكتب ايه؟
أول لما
الايكويشن
بجيب ال K بكتب Y equals K over X.
يعني 50 over x، مظبوط. كده بقى عندي الايكويشن، كده ممكن اجيب اي حاجه هو عايزها. هو عايز بقى ايه يا كارلا؟
عايز ال A وعايز ال B.
عايز ايه؟ هي تعرفي تجيبيها ازاي؟
ممكن أقول 50 over 4
which is 12.5. طب والبي؟
هقول دي واي. اوكي ماشي. هقول 50 over 8.
مظبوط، which is 6.25. now a plus b يعني 12.5 plus 6.25. this is a total of 18.75. سهلة صح؟
دي كده سهلة.
حلو أوي.
Thank you يا مستر.
عفوا يا عمر. عندي الباقيين عامة دول مثلا دول حاجات أسهل، يعني مثلا question number 1 the cost of hiring a bus for a trip to Niagara Falls is 400. If 25 people go on the trip, what's the cost per person in dollars? What do you guys think quickly? You don't have to give me an answer, just tell me how. No one knows how to do this? Yes, please.
I'm kind of guessing, but we have 25 people.
Yeah.
We're base $400.
Yeah.
And so we're gonna take 25 to be Y.
No,
400 X.
no. I was clear في الحتة دي. Not all questions require that much. Yeah, this one is actually easier than all of those. It doesn't require you to find the K. It doesn't require you to do anything. By reason, okay, by common sense, you can guess what should be the answer.
5 divided by 400.
The other way around.
400 divided by 25.
Yes, because we want to split the amount that we'll pay among all the people on the trip. So we're going to pay the 400 and we're going to split that among the 25. So 400 divided by 25. That's
Okay.
the cost per person. Another hint on how exactly to order this the right way is the word cost per person. So per means division. Cost per person. So I'll do the cost divided by the person. So the cost, which is the 400, divided by the 25, which is the number of people. Makes sense?
Yeah, okay.
Sure?
Thank you. Yeah, from that.
Thank you, Omar. If you check مثلا this other one, it says if four, this is the one that may require K, so read this one carefully. It says if 4 typists can complete the typing of a manuscript in 9 days, how long would it take 12 typists to complete the manuscript? Yep.
So for this one, هنعمل table where we have X and Y.
Okay.
So it's gonna be X can be the days and then Y can be the workers.
Oh.
But you go from 9 to 12.
Okay. So you're saying X is 9, right? And Y is what?
Yeah, 4.
I'd say the other way around. I'd say the X is the 4 and the Y is the 9. Because which one is depending on which one? Like, is the number of days depending on the number of typists, or the number of typists depends on the number of days?
Days on typists.
Exactly. So then X will go for the independent variable, which is the number of typists. Okay?
Okay.
So then if I need to find K, I'll just say that it's 9 multiplied by 4, so that's 36, which means that the equation is Y equals 36 over X. And then they told me how long would it take for 12 typists, which means the X is now equals to what? 12. So,
equals to,
right?
yeah.
So then Y is equals to 3. It will take them only 3 days to finish this. Since 4 people would finish it in 9 days, 12 people would do it in no time. Does this make sense?
Yeah, I'm good.
Carla, you're good. Ali, you're good.
Oh, yes.
Awesome. Actually, do this. So there are 4 questions only. We've already solved a couple of them. I actually 3 of them. I just think you can do the other one right away. So P1 inverse proportions. I'll give you 5 minutes for that one. Actually, 4 minutes for that one.
بس خليها 5.
لا ما في حاجات منهم محلولين اوريدي، فما تقلقيش، مش هياخدوا منك فعلا دقيقة. أو إحنا حليناهم دلوقتي. So P1 inverse proportion checking number 1, we already did that. We said that in this case, because of how even they stated this, it's the cost per person, which means I'm going to do the cost, which is the 400, per means division by the number of people, which are 25. So 400 by 25, and that's 16, right? If you check the one, number 3, if a man can drive from his home to Albany in 5 hours at 45 miles per hour, so it will take him 5 hours if he drove 45 miles per hour with the speed of 45 miles per hour. How long would it take him if he drove at 50 miles per hour? So if the x is now 50, what's the value of y? We'll do the same thing. We'll do x times y in order to find the k. So we'll do 45 times 5 in order to find the k, which is 225. Then I'll write the equation now as y equals 225 over x. I now have x equals to 50, so I'll do y equals 225 divided by 50. That would get me the answer. Now, on a calculator, 225 divided by 50, that's 4.5, which means it's 4 hours and 30 minutes, because that's 4.5 hours. Does this make sense? Yes.
بس أنا اتغبيت ورحت عملت لما شفتها 50 رحت زودت مش قللت.
ما هو ده بقى، هي دي اللقطة. بصي هي دي البوينت اللي لازم نحكم فيه سنة عقل في الموضوع، او نفكر فيه يعني في الموضوع ده، لان الغلطة اللي انت بتقولي دي is very common. Like anyone whenever they see something like this they go cross multiplication خلاص, which means ان هما يعني cross multiplication بتشتغل في ال directly proportion, بس في الانفرس مش ده اللي بيحصل. شو فكري فيها، انا لو بقيت بمشي اسرع هوصل في وقت اقل.
ايوه
بس عشان كده لازم تكون انفرس.
ايوه
بس نفس الكلام برضو على فكرة، مثلا 5 بتثبت نفس الحوار. People can complete by 2 people in 10 days. Then if we need how many people to complete it in 5 days, انا عايز اشغلها في وقت اقل. So لو عايز وقت اقل يبقى عايز ناس اكتر مش اقل، صح؟ So لو انا عايز ال y تبقى هي اللي ب 5, what's the value of x? How can I do this? برضو هجيب ال value of k by multiplying x times y. So k will be equals to 2 times 10, which means k is equal to 20. I got the value of k, I'll write the equation. Y equals 20 over x. Now, you do not have the value of x, instead you have the value of y. So أحط ال y هي اللي ب 5, ويبقى عندي ال x as an unknown. أودي ال x الناحية دي بالتايمز، بعدين ال 5 الناحية التانية بالdivided، تطلع x equals 4. So we will need 4 people to finish this in 5 days. And it makes sense. If 2 finish it in 10, then 4 will finish it in half the time, 5 days. Are we all good? 100% and we're clear.
السنة اللي كانت موجودة؟
لا دي أنا زودتها دلوقتي. طيب I'd like you بس in homework أو as a homework please to finish parts of P2. So these are just three quick questions as an understanding or as يعني check whether you did understand this or not, and just fill in the exit ticket and that's it.